Today, a little bit of a rant. So I'm watching Kerry. She's got a great video, and she's talking about a woman who is not happy about the activists stopping the goose crap going on. And her arguments are such shit. Just fucking complete shit. And I'm like, God, what's wrong with you people? You don't understand. Why don't you understand? It's clear. Animal products are not good for anybody. They're not good for the freaking animals. They're not good for the freaking environment. They're not good for me and you. They're not good for anybody. So why do you keep coming up with these freaking excuses? Ugh. I need a double-blind study, right? Can't have anything. We've got entire zones of the world, the blue zones, where people haven't been eating animal products as a majority, and they're healthier and live longer. The rich people all had their animal products, and now the middle class wants their animal products all over the fucking world. So now we're destroying our environment to feed this need, and it's just ridiculous. Well, you know, I got to get my protein. I need to get my B12. Got to eat this to be healthy. These eggs are giving me all this stuff. No, we don't let them get away with that shit. You know, if you want to sit there and you want to be the asshole that says, yeah, I'm eating this bacon because fuck it, I'm eating this bacon. Fuck the animals, fuck the health, fuck the environment. I'm eating bacon. Well, at least then you recognize that you're an asshole. But for all you other people, making excuses and just avoiding the facts, that's not getting you anywhere. And we need to make sure it doesn't get them anywhere, right? Are you just going to be a friggin' grub worm that doesn't have to think and just forages and eats and eats and eats? Or are you going to be a fucking human with logic and thought and understanding? And how about some compassion, for God's sakes? It's always the same fucking stuff. People putting their heads in the ground. Stop it. These arguments they come up with is just freaking ridiculous. Here's what I want. I want someone in the godforsaken freaking government or someone in the public policy somewhere. Fuck all the people with their heads in their sand and start working on a real solution to what do we do when we shut down 50% of our dairy farms. What do we do when we stop killing cattle? Start working on that problem now. What can the governments do to help convert these farms into something else so that these people still have income? What can we do so that for all the workers at the slaughterhouses so that when we cut down production and we reduce our dependency on animal products and we start shutting down these places, we need something for those workers to do, and we should be working on that. How are we going to support them? Fuck all the other shit about getting people to cut down. It's going to happen because you're going to fucking have to do it. There's no question. It's going to happen. So rather than let's spend all of our time battling that fight, or at least let the vegan activists, let us fight that fight. You government people, you start working on the solution to the problem of unemployed slaughterhouse workers or unemployed dairy farmers. Let's work on that, the solution to that. Because you know what? I'll let my tax money go to pay off a dairy farmer so he doesn't farm dairy anymore, right? I have no problem helping that guy change his farm into something that can be productive, plant-based, and help really feed the hungry. That's my rant today.
Now here's NBC News correspondent Frank McGee.
This book, containing 387 carefully worded pages, is a federal government report. Its title, Smoking and Health, a report of the Advisory Committee to the Surgeon General of the Public Health Service. It was released at noon today, and it says, in view of the continuing and mounting evidence from many sources, it is the judgment of the committee that cigarette smoking, contributes substantially to mortality from certain specific diseases and to the overall death rate.
States on page 61 of the report, and I quote, "In view of the continuing and mounting evidence from many sources, it is the judgment of the committee that cigarette smoking contributes substantially to mortality from certain specific diseases and to the overall death rate."
Yes.
Have there been any rigorous studies looking at why, let's say, animal protein is causing things like inflammation and the cascades, right? Because I'm interested in, we have this spectrum of the McDonald's hamburger versus perhaps, the Jill Salatin-like
Sure.
pasture-raised,
Sure.
grass-fed beef, right?
Right.
And we know that a lot of animal feed, is crap and contains Roundup and whatever.
Sure,
and all
sure,
that- all that
yeah.
toxicity,
Great question.
right? So,
Yeah.
do you have a sense of that? And is there a possibility that if one kept eating animal-based foods but did it with
Sure. Grass-fed, organic.
exactly,
Yeah, sure. No,
that
absolutely.
we might see lower levels
Right.
of inflammation?
So for the inflammation, we think it's actually the current theory is that it's an endotoxin effect. So endotoxins are components of bacterial cell walls, essentially, that aren't destroyed by cooking, not destroyed by stomach acid, proteolytic enzymes in the gut. So it doesn't matter how much you cook it, but then you just have these kind of fragments, bacterial cell wall fragments. They get absorbed into the system. Actually, fat helps kind of transmit it through the gut wall. So we get what's called endotoxemia. We get these endotoxins in our bloodstream. We've evolved for millions of years to think, bacteria in our bloodstream, that's a bad thing. So we get the spike of inflammation 2, 3, 4 hours right after the meal, and then that calms right down. Because you can see such dramatic short-term acute effects, then we can put different meats to the test, and that's what was done. So study what was done actually in Australia. So they chose wild-caught meat, which there is kangaroo meat, like their venison, basically. And they compared that. They compared the spike of inflammation from kangaroo meat to retail meat bought off the supermarket shelves. And they found that the kangaroo meat caused significantly less inflammation than the retail meat, though one could argue that, why have any inflammation at all where eating plant foods, antioxidant-rich plant foods, you actually get can be anti-inflammatory, actually. And so, yes, less inflammation, so definitely a step in the right direction. Probably the greatest benefits to kind of the organic meat movement is that it makes it really expensive, right? And so, so people eat less, right? I mean, and that's really what the recommendation, right? Reduce meat consumption, meatless Mondays, all these things. So look, so if people really only go to restaurants that have that, or really only buy, they're spending, then it's more, like a condiment or a flavoring to a dish as opposed to a big hunk, right? And so, I would not be surprised if you studied a cohort of people out. People that really did eat that way would have significantly better, but it may be more tied to the quantity of meat that they'd be eating because they're eating higher quality meat than actually the meat itself. Because you still have the saturated fat and all that. Yeah.